Hello everyone and welcome back to the 100k budget fuel challenge. I don't have anything else to say, so let's get into it. Here we are, guys. After everything we've been through, it all comes down to this. So, for the fourth and final round, we're gonna be racing with fuel consumption set to 15x. Not only that, but I am sticking to my tradition of the final track being at the Nürburgring. And so, without any further delays, it's time to determine who is the fastest, but also most fuel-efficient car of them all. Off the start line we go. Right away, Zetsu manages to climb up from 4th to 1st place. Already building a gap like his life depends on it. Not only that, but things don't seem to be going very well for Jonas Jomanani because he got overtaken by Tendril as well. Oh, and Stolas Enthusiast also overtakes the Golf, with the FTO now trying to do the exact same overtaking maneuver on the 205 GTI. However, the 205 doesn't seem to be letting himself get beaten by Stolas Enthusiast that easily. Things between these two continue getting more interesting as the race goes on. While that is happening, Zetsu in the 4C is trying to build a gap over everyone else. Heading into this section of the track, Stolas Enthusiast somewhat closed in the gap between Tendril. However, once again, you may be in overtaking distance, but that doesn't immediately guarantee an overtake. While that is happening, Jonas Jomanani is getting left behind by the two, which is really unfortunate for him. Tendril tries to catch back up to Zetsu, but it doesn't look like he is really succeeding in doing that. Thanks to the 4C's superior power and acceleration, it is easily able to keep the first place for now. This is only the first lap, and we are already having a possibility of a guaranteed winner here. Which means, as much as I hate the scenario to be happening, the tournament has become predictable as a result. But we are too far into the tournament to back out now, or really be able to fix anything. Either way, Stolas Enthusiast is really not succeeding in trying to keep up with Tendril. Not like it's really that big of a deal, because at least he is not last as a result of it. Zetsu continues to hold his giant lead over the two of them. As heading into the final section of the track, it doesn't look like anything is gonna be changing really. The 4C easily breezes through this chicane corner. But he's not alone, as it looks like Tendril, Stolas Enthusiast, and Jonas Jomanani also make it through that section easily. What can I say, the race tires really help these cars out in terms of handling. All of this is happening between everybody else in the grid, and yet Jonas Jomanani is still being left behind heading into the second lap. I actually kinda feel bad for the Golf Mark 1. And getting left behind is also something Stolas Enthusiast can relate to, because he was left behind by the 205 of Tendrils. As you can see, what I said about Tendril earlier, about him trying not to get overtaken by the FTO, really is true. Sometimes I really wonder to myself, how the hell am I able to jinx situations so often? Zetsu's 4C continues to gap literally everybody else that's behind him, as if he wasn't already doing that enough in Front Wheel Fury. And in terms of the only actually somewhat entertaining part of the race, it doesn't look like Stolas Enthusiast is... Oh wait, never mind, I was gonna say he isn't closing in the gap, but it looks like I was wrong, because the FTO is actually closing in the gap between the 205. Somewhat. Unfortunately for Stolas Enthusiast, however, the 205 GTI immediately reverses all of that on this section of the track. So in other words, basically nothing changes. Which is unfortunate, because if this battle comes to a close, I'll have way harder of a time trying to commentate. But that's besides the point. Even though Tendril is not giving up at trying to hold off Stolus Enthusiast, that doesn't mean Stolus Enthusiast will give up so easily at trying to overtake him. However, heading into this hill, the FTO didn't really succeed much. You know how I know that? Because the FTO's gear ratios are really stretched out compared to the 205 GTI. I seriously do not know what I can say that hasn't already been said about Zetsu's Alfa Romeo 4C. This may as well just be a 3-win for him. And it looks like the situation happened because Tendril successfully gapped Stolus Enthusiast. Which I guess is the point that I was getting at here. Long gear ratios plus many corners equals no. Or to phrase myself better, long gear ratios plus lots of corners equals time loss. Or at least that's the case for cars with no power. Regardless, Jonas Jomanani in the Golf was just chilling in 4th place as he wasn't really able to compete against any of the competitors all that much. So this, I guess, marks the end of the German dream in this tournament. Either way, we now head into the 3rd and final lap, as pretty much nothing has changed between the FTO and the 205 GTI. Tendril is still winning against Stolus Enthusiast. Yeah, it's sad to see, but the only actually entertaining part of this race, which is this battle, comes to a close. The FTO is just not fast enough to keep up with Tendril, who, as you can see, is easily making it through the first section of the track. Not only that, but he also seems to be doing very well fuel economy-wise. So congrats to him for being able to prove that he in fact should not be counted out of the equation. And I guess let's enjoy this opportunity because there's no guarantee that there will be another one. Zetsu easily made it through the first section of the track and is now heading into the second one, with his fuel tank now being decently empty but not empty enough to eliminate him yet. So I guess the fuel consumption isn't as much of a problem as I originally thought it was gonna be for these cars. In the meantime, we may as well look at Stolus Enthusiast's fuel tank. It doesn't look like the FTO is gonna be running out either. There isn't really much else to say at this point. We may as well just continue watching and see if these cars even make it to the finish line. Before running out of fuel, of course, because if they did run out, that would be the end for them. As for Jonas Jomanani, he is really far behind, but that's mainly because he's just taking a leisurely drive. Thanks to him taking the said leisurely drive, he is not even close to running out. In other cases, that would make him the standout, but in this case, he is basically just like everybody else in the race. But regardless, let's check back on the others real quick. And it looks like between the other 3, nothing much is changed. Tendril's 205 is still winning against Stolus Enthusiast's FTO, and Zetsu's 4C is still in the lead by a landslide. And in all honesty, I don't think there's gonna be much of a downside if we just skip to the last part of the race. And just like that, after everything he's been through, Zetsu wins this tournament and proves the 4C is the fastest and yet most fuel-efficient car of them all, with Tendril claiming the runner-up spot and Stolus Enthusiast getting the bronze medal. And Jonas Jomanani is in 4th place. And that is it. Zetsu won the tournament. The end. Stop the video. Or I would if the tournament was actually over. Did I get you? Did you fall for the act? Because surprise, surprise, it's actually not the end. I can clearly tell how many people I pissed off with round 3 being the way it is. So instead of sitting here and acting like that was the right choice, I will actually be making it up to you guys by rebuilding this tournament back up. But for that, you're gonna have to wait till July. Anyways, if you enjoyed, which I know you did, like the video, and maybe even consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the redemption round.